And I would just spend all my time in front of the computer because that was a way for me to escape. Playing video games, being in front of the computer, watching TV. I was so afraid to meet and talk to people that I would just try to escape that and just be alone. And at least in front of the computer, I could feel significant. I could feel special or like I was someone important because I was very good at playing video games and I got a lot of my needs met that way. And so as a result of that, I didn't have a lot of friends. And maybe you can relate, not having that many friends and not being able to meet new people. And I remember a huge pain for me at the time as well is, I switched high schools a few times and I remember being attracted to certain girls and I was just so afraid to talk to them. I was just so terrified of rejection. And I also remember like when you're shy, you micromanage everything in your head. You're filtering every thought that you have and you're overthinking so much that you get analysis paralysis. And so, even if you're like in a social situation and you're talking to someone, you're like so stuck in your head thinking about everything you're gonna say and you're like, oh, I can't say that. There's a part of me, there's a part of everyone that is social, that is confident, that is an extrovert, that is, amazing, the life at the party, the social butterfly. You have that within you, but it's just been dormant for so long. It's just that part of that personality within you that's just been dormant. You haven't maybe fully actualized that part of you yet because maybe there's a time, in the right setting when you're with your friends or whatever, that part of you comes out. You see a glimpse of it. And a lot of people, the shyness isn't who you are. It's just a state of being. It's a pattern that you've been running, a script. And you've been conditioning it so much your entire life that it's become the norm. It's become natural for you. It's become habitual and you identify that this is who I am because you want certainty. But you are so much more than that. And that's really the first step is realizing that that's not who you are. It's just a belief. It's just an identity. It's BS. You can change it. And you have to believe that you can change it.
I publish videos on mental health education and self-improvement. Social anxiety disorder causes a lot of shame for people, and it can really get in the way of your ordinary functioning. In 1980, with the DSM-3, it was called social phobia, and it continued to be called this until the DSM-5, when the name changed to social anxiety disorder. This name takes into account the deeper fears that people have that go beyond just fearing social situations. And here's the official criteria. You fear social situations because you believe you may be judged, embarrassed, or humiliated. You avoid social situations that you know will make you anxious or painfully endure them with a lot of anxiety. You have excessive anxiety that's out of proportion to the situation. Usual heart racing or sweaty palms that you can get from a normal level of anxiety. Your anxiety or distress interferes with your daily living. Your fear of anxiety is not better explained by a medical condition, medication, or substance abuse. So what this looks like is a person who's extremely fearful of being humiliated, embarrassed, and rejected by others. And you can be super preoccupied with offending or boring people. And this is different from being shy. Shyness is feeling anxious or reserved around people. Shy people usually aren't debilitated by their discomfort around others. Just to give you... restructuring and exposure therapy. Cognitive restructuring addresses and challenges your distorted thoughts about your fears. With the exposure therapy, You're desensitizing yourself to the fearful situation by gradually exposing yourself to these situations in a way that they become less fearful for you. The more you avoid a situation, the more the fear just gets baked in. One way to do this is to build a fear ladder. First, you take an inventory of your fearful situations, and you may have several, but for each situation, you break down the situation into steps that go from somewhat scary to very scary. Here's an example. Let's say you fear going to small social gatherings where people do a lot of small talk, but it's something that you have to do for your job, so you can't avoid it. Here's how you can break this up and rank your fears from low to high. First, you set a reasonable goal to reach once you make it all the way up the ladder. In this case, it's to attend a meet and greet where you don't know anyone, and you have to have conversation with at least 3 people. Here's how that ladder might look for you. Step 1 would be to look at a picture of people chatting at a party. Step 2, say hello to the cashier at the store. Then say hello to a stranger at the grocery store. This is a little different from saying hello to the cashier because if it's a store where you frequent, the cashier may be someone who's somewhat familiar to you. So that, in theory, would be a little less anxiety-provoking than saying hello to a stranger at that same store or a different store. The next step would be to ask a stranger cashier something about themselves. So now you're getting more personal, and it's the start of the small talk. Give a stranger a compliment while looking them in the eye. Ask a coworker or classmate about their weekend. With this, can you see how the stakes are getting a little bit higher, why this might cause you more anxiety? Because now you're talking to someone that you're going to see again. So there's more risk of you embarrassing yourself or this whole situation humiliating you. The next step on the ladder would be to let yourself be in a group of people talking and then make eye contact with each person while they are talking. Next, join a conversation of people and then have something to say. And the last step would be to ask a stranger for their observations. Are you enjoying the hot weather we're having? You want to practice each step until you become comfortable with each one. You will feel anxious while you're doing this, but if you keep at it, the anxiety will level off. Then you move up the ladder until you get to the last step and feel less anxious.